Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty safe to say that Disney has been imploding from within for years now. Whenever they decided to get woke and go broke, now we're seeing the ramifications of every single decision that has followed the parental rights and education bill. And let's just say it's not pretty.
Hi.
So we have an article here from Bounding Into Comics with a headline that reads, Disney Plus continues to implode and announces the loss of 1.3 million subscribers following the price hike. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, remember when Disney thought it was a great idea to raise the prices of their streaming services about like 3 or 4 times within a year? Well, apparently they have now found out that that wasn't the greatest idea. Now you got to think about this, right? Even though they lost 1.3 million subscribers, right? They still raised the price of their streaming service by $3. Take that $3 and times it by however many millions upon millions of subscribers that they have on their streaming service, and that will theoretically make up the money of the loss of 1.3 million subscribers. But the funny thing is, that's not a good look for investors. Investors don't necessarily want to just see dollar signs. They want to see growth. They want to understand that this company is continuing to grow year over year. And that amount of loss, even though it's going to hide your dollar amount, it's not going to hide your overall subscriber count, which is not going to hide your loss of growth. So let's get into this article from Bounding Into Comics. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into the YouTube algorithm. We're almost at 30K subs, guys. Let's do what we can to try to get there. It says, you're telling us that people didn't want to pay more money for subpar television content featuring bastardized interpretations of their favorite characters and storylines, or Echo? In a further blow to the company's streaming dreams, the House of Mouse has announced that thanks to a number of factors, including its recent price hike, their Disney Plus service has bled a total of 1.3 million subscribers in the 3-month period between their 2 most recent earning reports. I would be very curious, and I'm sure maybe it'll go over it in the article. I'd be very curious to see how many of that 1.3 million subscribers was actually from the US. Because remember last time when they lost over 5 million subscribers, they tried to say, oh, well, 3 or 4 million of it was from India, because they lost a contract or something like that. So I would be very curious to see, now that they can't use that excuse, how much of that came from the US. This significant dip in Disney Plus subscriber count was first made public on January 7th, courtesy of the company's chief financial officer, Hugh Johnston. Detailing the current status of their streaming operations to attendees of Disney's Q1 2024 earnings call, Johnston informed that though the company's Hulu platform had gained roughly 1.2 million subscribers in the time since the company's Q4 2023 earnings call in November, Disney Plus core subscribers decreased sequentially by 1.3 million subscribers. According to Johnson, this drop in Disney Plus subscribers was driven by the expected temporary uptick in churn given the recent domestic price increases, as well as the end of the global summer promotion, which offered new and returning users a 3-month subscription for just $1.99. Further, the CFO claimed that these impacts were partially offset by a strong ad tier net adds due to domestic growth, as well as the launch in certain international markets in the first quarter. So apparently it looks like they had growth in the domestic market. I would be very curious if that is true, but let's continue. Though the individual platform was reportedly having a rough time, Johnston noted that for their overall direct-to-consumer streaming operations had seen its operating income improve by $850 million versus the prior year, and by nearly $300 million versus quarter 4. Now, again, I'm sure that the dollar amount is definitely higher. I do not doubt that, because they have way more subscribers than they have loss of subscribers. But still, investors want to see the streaming service growing, not just in dollar amount, but in actual people subscribed and people who are staying subscribed. That's their problem. They're losing so many people. They're not actually keeping people long term. And if people actually re-up their subscription, it's going to be for a particular movie or TV show they might want to see, and then give it up and not subscribe afterwards. We've seen this happen time and time again. So they're hanging on to the dollar amount because this is what's going to try to make them look better in front of their investors when they talk about it on the earnings call. To this end, the CFO also highlighted how thanks to the service's aforementioned price increase in October 2023, Disney raised the price of Disney Plus ad-free tier by 27% from $10.99 to $13.99. It had seen its average revenue per year, ARPU, increase by 14 cents versus the prior quarter and by $1.07 versus the prior year. However, despite the massive dropouts in subs, Johnson ultimately asserted that in terms of the future, the company was expecting net adds of between 5.5 million and 6 million in the second quarter, with a hopeful prediction of 7.5 million domestic subscribers, looking to balance out a predicted decrease in international users. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull this off, because they've been saying over and over how, oh yeah, we know it's going to grow. We know we're expecting XYZ amount of growth by whatever quarter. And every single quarter this comes, like they always lose subscribers. They don't actually gain any. That's the funny thing. They're constantly losing subs, and it just goes to show that they're not actually doing what they say they're going to do. And I don't know if they realize that they're not going to gain subscribers by continuing to do the nonsense that they're doing. Nobody's interested in their movies and TV shows that are coming out, unless it's from a really big name like Spider-Man, for example. Nobody cares, and Spider-Man is half owned by Sony anyway. There's a lot of characters that they're just not utilizing anymore, and the ones that do have staying power, the ones that have a really big name that they could take advantage of, they already bastardized those characters. They're already trying to go with female variants of those characters, so they are not going to be able to rely on them for a long time anyway. So after a while, you got to start asking yourself, what's going to happen here, right? If you're going to have a streaming service and you're not going to offer content, original content anyway, that's going to get people excited, what are they going to want to subscribe for? There's 1,000,001 other streaming services that offer everything that Disney Plus offers, but better, right? And as much as I hate woke Netflix, they are so much better than Disney in terms of what they offer. They just are, okay? In terms of their own personal movies, in terms of their content that they purchase and put on their streaming platform, they are so much better than Disney. It's not even close to being the same. The only reason why people subscribe to Disney Plus is mostly for their children. They want to give their children certain TV shows or movies that they grew up with, or whatever animated shows. That's why they subscribe to Disney Plus. If Disney Plus didn't have that aspect to them, if Disney didn't have the namesake of Disney itself, I guarantee you their streaming service would not succeed whatsoever. It's just not going to happen. They don't have it in them. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do for the next quarter to get to their target of 5.5 to 7 million subscribers domestically. Very, very curious. As noted above, this is about the latest subscriber base woe for Disney's flagship streaming service. Most notably, in their Q3 2023 report, the company revealed that thanks to a break in their licensing deal with India-based streaming giant Hotstar, that quarter had seen Disney Plus lose a staggering of 11.7 million subscribers, more than double the 4 million loss in the year's first quarter, and more than triple the 2.4 million loss in the final quarter of 2022. While the company did see a slight uptick in platform usage to the tune of 7 million new subscribers in the last quarter of 23, this same quarter also saw them burn 387 million in its operating costs. So again, I'm sure they've said so many times that they have a lot of cash flow when it comes to their streaming service. As of right now, it provides them with an immense amount of cash flow. And not just Disney Plus, okay? Because Disney Plus, as we've been talking about, is for the most part not doing that great. But they have other streaming services all together combined that give them a decent cash flow for them to utilize to do whatever the hell they want. Whether or not they utilize it for something good and succeed in the end is ultimately up to them, but only time will tell. But just like Netflix, Disney has been saying they're going to be profitable by a certain amount of time, a certain year, and it still has yet to happen. And guess what? Netflix has yet to become truly profitable as well, even after all the promises they've been making for decades. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.